Hey, it's your old pal Fernbark, and in 2011, YouTube legend Hiram Cook did a comparison between Weber grill starters and Wetfire Tinder. And I watched, he's probably got like 4, 5, 7 videos on these things. Anyhow, I decided to kind of recreate some of these myself because it was just seemed unbelievable that this was a better version of this. This is a 5-pack of Wetfire fire starters, all-weather tinder, and this is a 24-pack of Weber charcoal starters. And this cost me $4, and I want to say like 92 cents, and this was like $4.80 something cents, so almost the same exact price. The Weber comes, as you can see, in individual pieces inside this plastic with a foil top, and then the Wetfire comes in it's obviously a much more convenient individually wrapped type package. On the left is the Weber, and on the right is the dry fire. So the Weber is roughly about twice as big. I'll weigh them when I get home, but you can see they look nearly identical. They feel identical. They smell exactly the same. I looked up the material safety data sheets on these, and both companies were pretty light on the details. It just said petroleum distillates, and it does smell like petroleum. The Weber doesn't really have any instructions on their sheet. I guess they're just assuming you know how to light a fire using a match or a lighter. The Wetfire has a pretty extensive set of directions. This time we have the Wetfire on the left and the Weber cube on the right. You can really actually see the difference in size is quite dramatic at this point. But anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and build a fire around them and light it up. They both light pretty quickly with a lighter. So it looks like the Wetfire is done and the Weber cube is still going, so it's kind of a bummer. So I'm going to go ahead and weigh these in grams just because it's going to be a little easier to see what the difference in weight is. So that's the Weber, is 10 grams, and the Wetfire in the package is 5 grams. So even with the package, it's half as much as the Weber charcoal starter. Let's go ahead and light them up and see how long it lasts. Before I go ahead and light it up, I'm going to dunk this Weber cube in water for an hour. And hopefully you can, well, my camera sucks. Here we go. It's just floating in there, as I knew it would, because it is exactly the same thing as Wetfire Tinder. Anyhow, I'm just going to go ahead and let that soak for an hour. Funny story, I left this floating here for about 3 hours because I got a little distracted. So we're going to go ahead and pair up the floating Weber grill barbecue starter versus the Wetfire dry and see how they fare. Here's a Wetfire straight out of the bag. And here's the Weber. Been soaking in water for 3 hours. Let's go ahead and fire them up. With my lighter lights. There we go. So you can see the Weber grill starter lights up after being soaked in water for 3 hours. We'll see how long they last. Well, we're about 3 minutes in, and you can see how much smaller the Wetfire on the left is than the Weber charcoal starter is on the right, which, by the way, costs much less. Alright, we're about 5 minutes in, and this is about to give up the ghost, and there's a plane flying overhead. Thanks, plane. Always a plane. Are you going to give us a white smoke? Give us a white smoke. So here's a byproduct of the combustion. It's just a little fluffy nothing. It pretty much looks the same. You got a little white bottom, little white bottom. I swear to God, it's the same stuff.